Greetings, welcome back to the channel. I'm glad you're here today on this early fall day here in New York City. And as soon as it's fall and it gets a little chilly, my block becomes really quiet, which is great. It's easier to listen to music. It's easier to concentrate. The front of my apartment faces the street. The back is much quieter than the front, but this is where I make the videos. And as you can see, my living room is over there, but this is actually my workspace. I'm surrounded by all these collapsing records. One guy said, "Those records make me nervous." I have records over there, I have records everywhere. This is also where I review gear for stereophile. Right now I have 7 turntables in my apartment, which is really nuts. I'm gonna make a video on those. I review for stereophile and analog planet, so things are constantly coming and going. But I think I'm known as as far as tone poets go, which this is a video about the new Tone Poet reissue series. The schedule for 2025 has been released. I'm known as the guy who trashes tone poets. And that's unfortunate because that's not really the way I feel. I think tone poets are by and large a wonderful value. I think their average price is $35. You cannot find any of these records anymore. With the beginning of the vinyl resurgence and the beginning of the Tone Poet reissue series, the value of Tone Poet, Blue Note records, even UA series, even LT series has gone up, and they've become much harder to find. And for the average listener with a good hi-fi, tone poets are really wonderful. If you're not getting all anal and crazy like I am, I think early reissues, original copies, without a doubt, sound better than tone poets. But you probably need, I talked to Chad Cassim about it, and he made the point that maybe on your system, which is horn speakers or full range drivers and tube gear, which is what these records were made on, they may sound better. They have a much better sense of life force. But by and large, the Tone Poet series is a great value. They're extremely consistent in their pressing quality. You get all those great photos. You get pressings that were originally LT series, like this in memory of, which is one of the ones on the new list. And those definitely sound better. Or the later period Blue Notes that Rudy did, like Wayne Shorter, Moto Grosso Fio, going into the late 60s. Rudy was always experimenting, and those records suffer from his experimentation, I think. Or like the Tone Poet reissue of one of the Wayne Shorters, was the Soothsayer, just sounded fantastic. So it's an either or situation, but by and large, I'm lucky to have a big Blue Note collection of early pressings, later pressings, UA pressings. So anyway, they're a great value. But this new Tone Poet series opens up the door to their Tone Poet Society subscription service. Now, I believe, as Chris explained very well, there are 4 different tiers. You pay more and more money. The more money you pay, the bigger discount you get on each record, 2 a month. And you get, and this is where I have a problem. Well, first I'll say all the things that are great about the reissue series. Most all of these records are really great, and the last one is a Jonathan Blake record on vinyl. Jonathan Blake is a New York-based drummer, used to play Maria Schneider, has his own records out. Phenomenal drummer. One of the new young guns on the scene. Great drummer, great composer. I love his stuff, and I would buy any of his records. So that's great. The last one is really great, because I think the last Tone Poet series was the classic vinyls. They did the 3 Sounds of the It Club, or some, frankly, just bullshit like that, which is one of their last records on Blue Note. The 3 Sounds put out so many great records on Blue Note. I think they were maybe Alfred Lyon's house favorite, because that music just feels good. There's nothing progressive about it. There's nothing particularly hip about it. It may be more tied to the swing era. It's not hard bop. Well, it is a little hard bop, but it's just beautiful, striding, good feeling, Sunday morning jazz. All the 3 Sound stuff. And they made a bunch of records for Blue Note. I should probably do an overview on those, but I digress. Why Blue Note chose to do a subscription series now, I don't know. I've seen people say in my Jazz Vinyl Lovers group, which you should check out on Facebook if you haven't already, we have close to 20,000 members all across the world. And several people have posted about this new Tone Poet Society subscription service, and more nays than yays. And they're totally screwing people overseas who can't do it. But you get these 2 titles. I think the most, if you do a year, it's almost $750, and you'll get some tchotchkes. I think you can, for that amount of money, I think you get a hand-signed note from Don Was. You can talk on the phone with Joe Harley, the Tone Poet. and you get these 4 exclusive titles that are only available to people doing the subscription series. So here's the 2 problems I have with the subscription series. A, it's going to hurt record stores. Record stores, not Record Store Day or Blue Note or Chad Kassem or any of it. Record stores are what created the vinyl resurgence across the country. And now there's so many record stores, even here in New York City, I can't keep up. But record stores are wonderful places. They're not chains anymore. There's no Record Bar. There's no Sam Goody. There's no Coconuts. There's no Grapevine. Record stores are very personal expressions of the owner's dreams and wishes for his store. I work at the Jazz Record Center 1 day a week, as most of you know. That store is the expression of Fred Cohen's incredible knowledge of this music and of pressings, well, not so much pressings, but of just the records in general. He has deep, deep knowledge. So, you know, granted, a lot of people probably never go to a record store to buy tone poets. They go to Amazon, or maybe they go to the Blue Note site, but there's no doubt about it. If they do a subscription series, this is going to hurt record stores who get all the tone poets. I know at our store, Fred used to get all the analog production stuff from Chad Kassem. Chad Kassem doesn't need the Jazz Record Center. He has huge sales on his site, so we don't get those records anymore, and that's a real drag because the whole resurgence is credit to record stores. So that's my one problem with this. It's going to cut out record stores. 2, this whole idea of an exclusive title, the first exclusive title to subscription people only, is this wonderful record, Davis Cup Walter Davis Jr. This is a UA pressing, and I paid $60 for this UA pressing, or maybe it's a Liberty. There's 4 titles a year. They've only announced this one as the first exclusive. They haven't announced the other 3. They're TBA. I think this is really, and this is a very hard title to find, extremely hard title to find in any configuration on vinyl. So that's my second problem with the subscription series. It's like, if you don't want to get the subscription, screw you, you can't get the record. Now, in saying that, I think even if you get a quarterly subscription, you'll still get this. So that might be a great deal for you. Or maybe you wait until the next one comes up when they announce the next exclusive record, and you buy in quarterly to that one. So that's my problem with these 2 things. But it's more the closing out of the record stores. Now, granted, you can buy these tone poet titles any way you have in the past. Nothing has changed in that regard. But it'd be nice to see the stats for, like in New York, Jazz Record Center is the only store that carries new releases in jazz. We're it. Nobody else does it. Maybe the Rough Trade store in Rockefeller Center has some new jazz titles or new reissue jazz titles. So it just pisses me off. They're excluding record stores from these titles, and just in general, it's going to hurt their business. Not cool. Oh, but anyway, let's talk about the records that are coming out. I do own a few of these, and by and large, these are all excellent pressings or excellent releases. There's nothing here that I would say is non-essential or just junk or them trying to push some new artist on you that you don't really care about. So, well, actually, the first one I think is kind of, I'm sorry, a little lame. January 3rd, the Jazz Crusaders, Freedom Sound. Those records are hard to find. Pacific Jazz title. I think those records sound sort of dated. That's just me. Andrew Hill, Grassroots, January 3rd, 2025. Grassroots, still has a shrink on it. Lee Morgan, Booker River, and Andrew Hill, Ron Carter, Freddie Waits. I haven't listened to this in a long time, but I think of this as a funky record. Andrew Hill's music is usually very dense, very heated, very fiery. A lot of Elvin Jones stuff. It's like burning a hole through the atmosphere. It's so intense. This is more funky and fun, just like you see from the cover. I think that was probably their goal. Andrew, make something fun and funky. Beautiful Nat Hentoff liner notes. But just in saying that, this is a little bit funky. And the next Andrew Hill title is a little different than the usual Dance with Devil, Judgment, those sort of records that are so intense. Andrew Hill is a very forward-thinking composer, big influence on Jason Moran, some other contemporary guys, probably Vijay Iyer as well. Regarding this exclusive title, Walter Davis is one of those artists who he's a knockoff, one record on Blue Note. there's a number of these guys, or like George Braith, who got 2 records on Blue Note. And you wonder why he didn't get more play from Blue Note. Donald Byrd, Jackie McLean, Walter Davis Jr., Sam Jones, Art Taylor. I think of them as in the same group, not entirely, as the more avant-garde players on Blue Note, which can be Jackie McLean, Grashan McClure, definitely Tony Williams, definitely Sam Rivers. I want to do a video on the more avant-garde stuff, but this is like straddles the divide between hard bop and slightly more avant-garde. Very hard swinging pianist. These are all his tunes. This is a great reissue. This is really an essential Blue Note title, and that's why it sort of bothers me. You can't get this, only if you subscribe. February 7th, 2025, Dizzy Reese, Blues and Trinity, another very, very hard title to find. Very rare. Dizzy Reese is a wonderful player. He has like 3 or 4 records on Blue Note. Solid offerings. Great hard bop, wonderful player. Also February 7, 2025, Horace Parlan, Up and Down, Up and Down. This is an original I paid $150 for at the Jazz Record Center. I probably paid like $140. I got a tiny discount. I believe that all of Horace Parlan's titles are essential. He was a great composer. He was a great player. He was missing a couple fingers, or he had something wrong with one of his hands. And because of that, he comes up with these really unusual voicings. And in some ways, this is soul jazz or hard bop, but in his mind, there's something a little more cerebral happening. And it's really effective and really, really engaging. This one has Booker Ervin, Grant Green, Horace Parlan, George Tucker, Al Harewood, the great Al Harewood. All of his records are great. If you see them in the wild, just buy them. But you can see this is an original pressing. It's in basically okay shape. But great title. Thank you, Joe Harley. March 7th, 2025, Curtis Amy and Frank Butler, Pacific Jazz. We've had these records in the store. They're great records. Frank Butler is a great drummer. He was on the original, he's actually on the original version of Miles Davis' 7 Steps to Heaven, oddly enough. And Curtis Amy, smooth, smoking. When I see Curtis Amy, I think of Tina Brooks. It's a wonderful sound, great reissues. Hank Mobley, 3rd Season. This is one of the handful of records that Blue Note held back and then put out as LT series. The LT series, I believe, was primarily Michael Kuskuna, and they varied in quality of recordings and pressings. A lot of people hate the LTs. I don't at all. And there's actually 2 of them on this new schedule. And it's Hank Mobley. Some of the Hank Mobley later period stuff, they wanted him to have hits, so he starts covering Burt Bacharach and stuff like that. And those records don't really work. But some of them are excellent. I have 2 copies of the Hank Mobley where he's in Paris and the Eiffel Tower is behind him. But by and large, Hank Mobley, I think, is one of the greatest artists on Blue Note. His catalog is extremely consistent, beautiful, swinging, hard bop tone. He's known as the middleweight champion. But I would stream this if you can somewhere just to hear it for yourself if 3rd Season is something you want to hear. And then the Q2 Tone Poet Society exclusive. We don't know yet, TBA. April 4th, 2025, Art Pepper, Modern Art, and Teddy Edwards, Sunset Eyes. That modern art record is extremely hard to find. Originally on Intro Records, 1956. Extremely hard to find. Fred sold one at an auction a few weeks ago. It went for like $1,200. The next one, Teddy Edwards, Sunset Eyes, is in an upcoming Jazz Record Center auction. Teddy Edwards is very, very consistent. All of his records on Contemporary. This one's on Pacific Jazz. It's West Coast jazz, swinging, beautiful hard bop, streamlined players. I don't have a copy of it, but Teddy Edwards is sort of one of the players under the radar of a lot of people, but a beautiful hard bop player. June 6, 2025, Andrew Hill, 1964. This is also sort of a different record from Andrew Hill. A little more in the hard bop vein. John Gilmore, Bobby Hutcherson, Andrew Hill, Richard Davis, Joe Chambers. All of his tunes. But again, it's not like Dance with Death or Judgment or Compulsion. It's a little I mean, he even looks kind of happy on the cover. The other covers, he's kind of distant. He looks kind of intense. I haven't listened to this one in a while. But on the other hand, almost all Andrew Hill records are worth buying. It's some of the most adventurous stuff on Blue Note. It's like post-bop in the era of bop. So I would say get this. Oh, I jumped a month. Leo Parker, Rolling with Leo, and Grasham Mancour, some other stuff. Leo Parker is, I believe, a tenor player. Is he baritone? Sort of straddles the divide between sing, swing, and hard bop. Those are really, really fun records. It's kind of like the Benny Green records on Blue Note. They're just a lot of fun. They're worth having. They're just fun records. So that would be a good one. That came out. Chris had a DMM version, so it's not an LT pressing. And then this, Grasham Mancour, third, some other stuff. Blue Note, 1964. This is an original mono pressing. He is one of the slightly more avant-garde players. Excellent stuff. This is a great lineup. Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock, Cecil McBee, Tony Williams. Oh my God. This is a must-have record from Blue Note as far as I'm concerned. And you know, it'll have the usual gatefold series. All these are done from tape. It'll have interesting photos. I'll probably even want to buy this. Excellent release. Tone Poet Society exclusive, Q3, not announced. July 4th, 2025. Sam Rivers, A New Conception, which I have here somewhere. It's the cover, black and white cover of a woman wearing like a peacock swirling coat, kind of dancing, of the great Steve Ellington on drums. Excellent forward-thinking record. And Dexter Gordon, Landslide, Blue Note, 1961. Sam Rivers, A New Conception, Blue Note, 1966. I'm not the world's biggest Dexter Gordon fan. Landslide was an LT copy. If you like Dexter Gordon, that's an easy choice. August 1st, 2025, Horace Silver, The Tokyo Blues. This is an original pressing I paid $110 for. You know, I tell people, when you see these original pressings in the flesh, the laminate does not look like today's laminate. And the colors are very rich. If they took the laminate off, chances are those colors are toxic. But it's weird we don't lionize Horace Silver these days, because all of his records are just utterly fantastic. Great compositions, wonderful playing, great arrangements. Blue Mitchell, Junior Cook, Gene Taylor, John Harris Jr. on drums, 2 tracks per side. And, you know, any Horace Silver, except maybe some of the very later period stuff, where he looks like kind of a hippie in running shorts and stuff like that. All the other ones are just fantastic records. I don't know why they're not more popular. I don't know why he isn't more lionized in general in jazz. Maybe because he was so popular. I mean, it's not as crazy as with Jimmy Smith, who was so popular, made so many records, they don't sell anymore, even though some of those Jimmy Smith records that have diverse lineups on like a larger cast are pretty interesting. But Horace Silver records are wonderful, and to me, this is a must-buy. August 1st, Jackie McLean, Jackknife. Now, this is Hypnosis. And these are, you know, these are twofers. The Blue Note Jazz Classic Series that came out in the 70s. And their quality, as far as pressings, can be hit and miss. But this is how Jackknife originally came out, I believe. I have that twofer here somewhere, but I can't find it. But Jackie McLean, you know, if you enjoy his tone, which is a little acerbic sometimes, pungent, some might even say sour on his alto. One of the great composers of Blue Note, one of the most swinging guys on Blue Note. So I'm curious to see that one. September 5th, Chico Hamilton, Pacific Jazz. Chico Hamilton's great, he's kind of important, but I think his records are kind of dated now. They just sound kind of dated, I don't know. And on the other end, from being dated to being really adventurous, Don Cherry, Complete Commune. This will come out on September 5th. He did 3 records for Blue Note, whereas Brooklyn, Complete Communion, I forget the name of the other one. This is an original pressing with the lineup of Gato Barbieri on sax, Henry Games on bass, Edward Blackwell on drums. A great, great lineup. And these are very dense. They're not like Andrew Hill records, but they're very, very dense in their own way. Don Cherry was a real personality, had a very unique way of playing. You can obviously hear him with Ornette Coleman. Made a lot of records. Some of them are really beautiful. The latter period, he made a lot more than Blue Note records, but you know, he has a tone you have to get used to. Sometimes he played a tiny trumpet. This is a coronet. So I would say stream this. First of all, October 3rd, 2025, Stanley Turrentine in memory of. This is an LT pressing. I own far too many Stanley Turrentine pressings than I should. I have a gazillion doubles. My good pal, Rich Capeless, says, man, you need to sell those doubles to me. And I just can't quite find the time to go through everything and keep the ones I want and sell the other ones. And also, I just don't want to sell them yet. My heart is, you know, if you invest in all these Blue Notes for years as I have, your heart gets invested in all your records. These are part of who you are. I have records everywhere. I dated some young woman a while ago. She came in and went, wow, this is a museum. We should sell tickets. Like, it's not a museum. I work here, lady. But anyway, this was originally an LT pressing. Stanley Turrentine, Blue Mitchell, Curtis Fuller, Herbie Hancock, Bob Cranshaw, Otis Candy Finch, O.C. Johnson, Al Harewood, all these wonderful guys who played incredible time at any tempo, but they're not progressive players. They're more tied to the swing era. These titles are great. Fried Pies, In Memory of, Niger Mambo, Make Someone Happy, Jody's Cha-Cha, Sunday in New York. I mean, Make Someone Happy. That'll give you an idea. It's an old standard. It's American Songbook. Just a beautiful sounding record. Liner notes by Michael Skostuna. And this record sounds pretty good, pressing-wise and recording-wise. But I'm sure the Tone Poet would sound better, all things considered. Bobby Hutcherson, Montero, an extremely hard record to find. I've only seen it a few times, from 1975. But all Bobby Hutcherson records are great. They just are. He's one of the iconic guys on Blue Note. Bobby Hutcherson, Hank Mobley, Wayne Shorter, Duke Pearson. These guys are just made wonderful records. November 7th, Duke Jordan, Flight to Jordan, Sheila Jordan, A Portrait of Sheila. They're not related. Duke Jordan, Flight to Jordan, I've always just found to be an incredible bore of a record. I don't know why. It just bores the crap out of me. From Blue Note 1960. Sheila Jordan, one of the few vocalist records, along with Dodie Green on Blue Note. I don't remember much about it. December 5th, Donald Byrd at the Half Note, Cafe, Volume 2. Good. Donald Byrd, I'd rather own any of his studio recordings. I'm not a fan of Blue Note live recordings. And then finally, Jonathan Blake, Homeward Bound from 2021. As I said, he's a wonderful player, wonderful composer. Most of the stuff's on CD. I would stream it. If you don't know Jonathan Blake, man, what an incredible talent he is. So that's that for the 2025 Blue Note Tone Poet Series schedule and the exclusive Tone Poet Society. Go on their website, check it out. There's 4 different tiers. Only you can make the decision if you want to invest in all those things to get the exclusives. And if Davis Cup is their first exclusive, the next 3 are going to be dynamite. There's no way around it. Thanks for watching, kids. Happy holidays.